Just waiting. Okay. Just waiting. Oh. All right. Welcome to Book Club Meeting 2 of TEYA's Representation Matters Book Club series for What the Fireflies Knew by Dr. Kai Harris. So we are hoping that some of you got a chance to read. If not, then it's okay. Representation Matters. Sorry about that. Just a land acknowledgement for those of you who do not know, we are on Ohlone land in San Jose. Some of you might also be on quite a few different territories, so I will be saying some of those in this land acknowledgement. Our anti-racist journey begins with the acknowledgement that we as settlers and displanted people reside on the unceded sacred land of Native American people. We are aware that the U.S. began with the conquest and genocide of indigenous people and grew its wealth from enslaved Africans forced labor. We in San Jose offer a land acknowledgement to the ancestors and descendants of this land, who are now members of reorganized tribes and groups, including the Tamian tribe, Muwekma Ohlone tribe, Confederated Villages of Lisjan, Himren of Ohlone, Bay Miwok, Plains Miwok, Amamutsun Tribal Band, and Indian Canyon Nation. They have inhabited and stewarded the unceded lands of the San Francisco Bay Area for thousands of years. We have much to learn from indigenous people, including the deep cultural and spiritual respect they demonstrate for our natural world. Wherever we are, may we all pause to acknowledge the Native people whose land we are on, and remember that the next step after acknowledging these communities is to learn more, particularly how you can support them directly, financially, donating your time or your services. May we learn to walk in a humble and honorable way by acknowledging indigenous knowledge systems that lead to more sustainable and relational futures. So welcome everyone. You can go ahead and type your name in the chat. I see some people who were here last time. So example, my name is Tamara Hall, she, they, from San Jose, California. You can also put where you're, the territory you are occupying. So for me, it's Muwekma Ohlone, and I'm a special education teacher at Dartmouth Middle School, also an equity leader in the Union School District and the TEYA founder and president. I would also like to know what is something that has been on your mind lately. So you can share that verbally, or you can type it in the chat. So something that's been on my mind is that I miss my mom. I've been thinking about her a lot, and I haven't seen her in a month. So it's on my to-do list to have a lengthy and deep conversation with her this weekend. So I'll give people time to type in the chat. I also would like to say happy Black History Month. It is February 2nd, so Black History Month started yesterday, and hopefully you have plans to participate in a Black-led event or celebration, and make sure that for those of you who are students or educators or community members, make sure you highlight the lengthy, long time existence of contributions from the Black community to our society all over the world. And that could be by reading, learning, posting about things, talking with people, sharing about it, things that you've learned or things that you know have benefited from. And so my students were in math class, we're currently writing, creating representations, poems, essays, visual representations like drawings or paintings or Google Slides of the famous Black mathematicians who've contributed to a lot in our society. And then my language arts students will also be working on an inspired action argumentative essay. So this comes from thinking about the people in our community, the Black people in our community and in the United States or all over the world, and what were their messages looking at quotes that we have from them and choosing to use them so we can inspire action towards an issue or something that, comes up personally. So I see a lot of things in the chat. Thank you, folks. So we've got Miss Sink here from Dartmouth. Miss Jessica, who's an arts teacher at James Lick, thank you for joining. I'm sorry to hear that someone said that something that is on their mind is the shooting and the violence that's going on from California. So please take time for yourselves and, talk with people who you think will listen so you can share your feelings. And thank you. I see Brianna is here. She's a research coordinator and also been thinking about her family. Thank you, Misa. Also on Moekma an elementary school teacher. Sustainability is on her mind. I think that for teachers, that's a lot of the times, like, how can I make my work sustainable? And Brianna is also a TEYA member, so along with Misa and Miss Sink. So thank you, our TEYA teachers and community members, for joining. We also have Kiyoshi from San Jose, nonprofit co-head of Justice Vanguard, and missing his backyard, he says. And then we've got Elizabeth living in San Jose, Moeko Ohlone territory. Black History Month's been on her mind, trying to get to all the events she can, trying to plan a reading escape because there's so many books. Yes, I feel the same thing, which is why I do audio. And also Elizabeth shares that she is a Housing Action Committee member and racial equity and community safety member at Sacred Heart. So thank you everyone who joined or who shared in the chat. And does anyone want to share by unmuting themselves? Okay. All right, so let's go to the next slide. We did our land acknowledgement introductions, and we'll go to the community agreements briefly, since we did go over them last time. We have our small group discussion that will be in breakout rooms, and we'll have a whole group share out after that, in addition to a whole group discussion with the personal reflection questions that were emailed to those of you who were here last time, but were also on the registration information, and then the book discussion questions as well. And then we'll go to closing. So community agreements, share the lesson, not the details. If you are learning something here, you can take that back to somewhere else and tell them what is something you learned, but don't necessarily tell them everyone else's information. Speak up for yourself. So if there's something you want to share, you can type it in the chat, or you can virtually raise your hand, or if you have your camera on, put your hand up. And let's allow equity of voice. So I realize I've been talking a lot, and I'm going to turn it over to all of you to share in just a moment when we go to breakout rooms, and then when we come back to share out. And this is a sacred space for vulnerability, which means when we go into the breakout rooms, they will not be part of the live feed. They will not be recorded. And you will get to share what you'd like with the people in that group. And whatever you choose to share here, please, everyone, don't go off and tell others about what people are doing, especially if they're sharing in the breakout room. Empathize with others. So that means understand where people are coming from when they're sharing something. Step up, step back, allow others to share. So if you think you're talking too much, use the chat. If you think you're using the chat too much, unmute yourself. And then practice humility, which means, we can learn from other people. We don't know everything. So please try to learn from others today. Does anyone have any questions about our community agreements? Okay. And if you have anything that maybe you didn't get a chance to say verbally, you can type it in the chat. Okay, so we're going to go to our breakout rooms. We will be discussing these two questions. What is something from what the Fireflies knew that stuck with you? So for those of you who have read it or started, And what is a topic or theme from the book that resonates with you? So those of you who haven't read it, you could probably, from the synopsis, think of some topics and see what connects with you. So we are going to stop share at this moment and get into our breakout rooms.